Hey, what's up? This is Sully from Godsmack. Strap on those boots, baby, because you are now in the trenches of the war room with the one and only Mistress Carrie right here on the Mistress Carrie Podcast.
What's up? This is Joe Rogan, and you're listening to Mistress Carrie.
Her hair so lovely. Pretty eyes.
Hey, this is Brent from Shinedown, and you're listening to Mistress Carrie. Hey, Carrie, go put your bra on, girl.
Hey, this is Steven Tyler, and you be listening to the baddest bitch in Boston, Mistress Carrie.
What's up? This is Aaron from Stain, and you're listening to Mistress Carrie.
Hi, everybody. This is Dave Grohl from the Foo Fighters, and you're listening to the one, the only Mistress Carrie.
Hey, this is David from the band Disturbed, and you're listening to the baddest bitch in Boston, Mistress Carrie.
Hi, Bruce Dickinson here from Iron Maiden. Yes, indeed, Miss Whiplash herself, Mistress Carrie, is here to unchain your brain.
Hi, this is Flea from the Red Hot Chili Peppers. You're listening to Mistress Carrie.
This is Dennis Leary. You are listening to my favorite, Mistress Carrie.
Hey, this is Corey from Stone Sour, and you have the privilege of listening to Mistress Carrie. Oh, God. Oh, yeah.
Hey, it's Mistress Carrie, reporting for duty from MCHQ for episode 252 of the Mistress Carrie Podcast. And before we get to my guest, Leigh Kakaty from Pop Evil, I want to remind you about all of the places that you can listen to the Mistress Carrie radio show. You can hear me from 6 to 10 a.m. every weekday morning on Laser 99.3 and 98.5 in Springfield, Mass. at laser993.com. You can hear me every weekday from 10 to 3 p.m. at 98 Rock, Charleston's Best Rock. Go to my98rock.com to stream the station and download the 98 Rock app. And you can hear me every weekday afternoon from 3 to 7 on 100 FM The Pike in Massachusetts. Go to pikefm.com to stream the station and download their app. And on 106.3 The Bone in Portland, Maine. Go to 1063thebone.com to stream the station and download their app. You can find all the links under the radio tab at mistresscarrie.com. Leigh Kakaty from Pop Evil is making his fourth appearance on the Mistress Carrie podcast. He was originally on episode 53, then episode 143, and episode 203. And the band's new album, What Remains, came out on March 21st. I talked to him just a couple days before the album came out to talk about the emotional and very personal inspiration behind the lyrics to this new album. And we spent a lot of time talking about the new additions of Joey and Blake from Devour the Day to the Pop Evil lineup. I love having Leigh on the show, and we always have the most interesting conversations, and this one's pretty personal. So allow me to reintroduce you to Leigh Kakaty from Pop Evil. Hi, Leigh.
It is good to be back. Hearing your voice, Carrie, I'm excited to talk to you.
It's so good to see you. It looks like you're in this like dark cave. You got this big fluffy black hoodie on. It's like we're both wearing the snuggliest clothes ever.
I love it, man. I like it dark as I can be, and especially, in the wee hours of the morning before, the vampire side of me has to like be in the darkness, and then boom,
Are you on the West Coast right now?
No, I'm in Midwest.
Oh, okay.
I'm Michigan.
So you're home?
I'm home for a couple days, and then off to. I think we start in New York with a big show with Octane, and then tour time, just coming quick.
I had to look at the last time you were on the show.
Yeah.
And I was like, I feel like I just talked to him, but you haven't been on the show in a year.
I know, it's crazy how I was thinking that too. I was like, did we just talk? Oh no, it's been a minute.
Yeah.
So it's crazy to think about how time has been flying since we've talked last. So here we are again. I love it, man. It's crazy. Another album on the horizon.
I have been talking about you because more recently the Devour the Day guys were on the show.
That's awesome.
And then I saw them on tour with Daughtry right before the holidays.
I love it.
And so we were talking about how they're pulling double duty with everything and how excited they are, obviously, to be part of Pop Evil now.
Sure. Yeah, they're just incredible human beings. I mean, Joey and Blake have just really, and what they've really helped elevate Pop Evil, certainly behind the scenes too, not just on stage. The way that their languages. Obviously, our first tour we did was with Egypt Central. I think about all those years later, they brought us, which Egypt Central, if they don't know, those listeners, that was their first band together, and Blake played the drums in Egypt Central. So that's kind of how we met the guys. And of course, we've gone on through the years. And when, COVID came and things kind of got weird for a lot of bands, we had called Joey. We needed some bass duties. And I remember getting the phone call that it's like, well, we're going to call Joey. And I'm like, my exact words. And I remember telling Joey, I was like, don't call Joey, because I don't want to play with Joey because he's not going to be able to stay with us and I'm going to love him. You know what I mean? So I don't want to get used to that. And then of course, Joey came into that first rehearsal and he's like, I'm down to stay with, Pop Evil for a while if you're cool with it. And I'm like, what about Blake? Because Joey is not it's like he's a double package, right? Joey and Blake are one. They've always been one if you know them. And I'm like, well, what about Blake? So, and he's like, well, I've talked to Blake. And I'm like, no, let me talk to Blake. So I called Blake and I said, look, it doesn't have to be like this. I'm a fan of, Egypt Central. I'm a fan of Devour the Day. I'm not asking you guys to break up. And Blake was super grateful, but he's like, no, if this is what's best for Joey, then, I support it. I'm here for it. And I'm like, well, look, I go, and we were kind of joking, but I said, look, if there's anything else, if anything ever comes up, and at that point, Haley was with us, and I thought it would be a long shot if Haley ever left. But I said, look, if something changes and Haley ever leaves, hey, you'll be one of the first people that we call, and then sure enough, the music gods work in a mysterious way, and Haley ended up, making the decision to depart and do other things. And, again, though, I was kind of like, I called Blake and of course, Joey was like, let's get Blake. And I'm like, well, look, look, guys, I need someone that still has to be serious about Pop Evil. I mean, at the end of the day, we're building around a foundation. That drummer has to be locked. And Blake had reassured me. He's like, look, no. You were there for me and all those years. I'm there for you. We're just as serious about Pop Evil, but obviously, you supporting us with Devour the Day. This is huge. And interestingly enough, with musicians, we all kind of have dreams that are different, obviously, but we all kind of make money in different ways, right? Those are money sources for the guys to live and be able to do Pop Evil and be more comfortable. So, why would I want to have them not do that? I'd rather them do that when we're off than, go work, at Subway or go do something in the medical or law field. It's like, it just keeps them in the wheelhouse. It keeps them doing music what they're phenomenal at. And, those two are just such special guys. And, hopefully we can, keep growing Pop Evil the way we need to, but just having them in the band is just, we like to say 5 guys that we're from the same era. We've all kind of been around from that time, and we all know the trials and tribulations that have led us to where we're at, the successes we've both had, but then again, the failures, the things that we haven't accomplished yet. So being able to kind of have this mentality and this discussion, and you've known all 3 of us for a long time, but it's kind of like this theme we have, like chase perfection. It's not so much about us versus the other bands as much as it's about us with ourselves to put out the best records, the best live show we can, better than the last tour, better than the last album. So, when you've got those guys really pushing for the same things, we have the exact same goals, and we know that we're always one song, one album away from going home. So, when you kind of put that dream and that drive, mix it with that sense of urgency, it's been a lot of fun, man. For the first time in a long time, there's that respect factor that's going on with all of us behind the scenes. As you know, when you talk to the guys, we have an appreciation and respect for each other that really was never there in the Pop Evil camp behind the scenes until now. So it just really has set the stage for us to really grow. And, the sky's the limit for the band moving forward. And, we're excited about kind of embracing that challenge and, seeing how far we can take this.
It's been described on the show recently, and I loved it so much, that being in a band with a group of people is being locked in a tube with them.
Ooh, it's funny enough, and of course you can get a lot of band members that might give you the more corporate response, but being in a band, all the 99.9% of the time that is not being on stage can really be hell. It sucks. You think about being away from your family and friends, and then you're on a bus fighting with someone or not agreeing with them, and someone's got ulterior motives. You don't have, it's kind of what our new single is about, wishful thinking. It's like you have these wishful thoughts that, hey, I'm going to be with these guys, this bandmates forever, and then life happens, right? People lose interest. It's just that simple. I've been around band members that just don't want to do it anymore, and I get it. It's a grueling process. And in a rock band, in the time since we started, the commitment to break your band, you don't get the same exposure that other eras once had, right? You have to be on the road like full time. And obviously, with Pop Evo, we've been road dogs from the beginning. I mean, it was 200 shows out of I think I remember one year literally being home only for if you put all my off time together, it equaled 2 months. And of course I didn't have that together. So spread out. So normally I was just home for a week or two. So, you can't do anything in that, right? Like you're still chasing your dream about being in a band. But then at the same time, when you come home, you can't get any stability because, I mean, what are you going to do for 2 weeks? You barely have enough time to pay those bills that you didn't pay for the 4 weeks when you were out on tour, and then you're back out for another 8-week run. So it's like, it was really, it's tough. I get it, and a lot of those bands that were around when we started, they're not around anymore. I know that Joey and Blake and I have had tons of those discussions about how grateful we are about just being humble for the opportunities we still have to be a band that's able to release new music and kind of, have power to still not be locked into a certain sound. We can still be creative. We can still kind of take the band in any direction we want to. It's, we're grateful for that because there's so many obstacles and things along the way for all of us that like, this could have been a different story for us. And certainly with the COVID experience, we all kind of, if you're in a band now, I'm sure it was your worst nightmare. It was certainly mine when the music was taken away from me personally. It was a haunting reminder that like, man, I don't want to go home. I don't want to get off the bus. This is what I want to do. And so we came back with a lot of humility. We were humble. We were in this position where we really wanted to appreciate our fans in different ways. We came back to the meet and greets and so it's really changed us, and having guys again, like I can't speak highly enough about Joey and Blake, kind of when you now brought in those missing links that Pop Evo needed with guys that like are just as hungry as we are, or certainly I guess I can speak for myself, as hungry as I am, and who still want to accomplish things, don't want to sit there and be, complacent with, oh, we got hit songs, let's just retire now and play the hits and roll. That was never good enough for any of us. So it was like, look, we always feel like with Pop Evo, we don't have any hits. I mean, it's like, look, we still are looking for that one song that's even bigger than anything we've ever done, So I think that drive and that hunger, and of course with Joey and Blake coming in now and adding their 2 cents and being hungry enough to kind of push Pop Evil to another level, and we kind of took a few years with Joey we had a couple growing pains. We had a lot of things internally. Everything from crew guys, the ways we were doing things that we could have done it better that I know Joey wasn't excited about. I wasn't excited about things Joey was doing at the time. I wanted to make sure that like if we're going to come together, it's got to be, I don't want the selfish stuff. I don't want the boozing. I don't want the party. I want to make sure that everyone's here locked in. If I'm going to be away from my family and friends, I want to make sure that, I can look them in the eye when I get home and said, look, we were trying to build this rather than, hey, I was just on a vacation here. I'm just at a frat party and it was for 8 weeks. No. I want to make sure that everyone's being healthy and we're setting ourselves up for the future. Because again, it's not so much about the album and the singles today. It's about that album and singles tomorrow, right? So you have to be planning for those things in the future right now. And obviously at the same time, you have to be growing for the work you did 6-7 months ago. You have to make sure that those ideas and those hopes and dreams that you had are coming into fruition, right? We're doing what we say. So, when you got guys and collectively we're on that same page and being held accountable together, it's not just they're looking at me. It's when I look at them, they're doing the same things, right? So it's so important with the relationship with anybody that you do what you say and people can count on you. Because if you can't, then it just leads to that one other cancer that, like you said, when you're on a bus with 12 people, one little bit of cancer, boom, spills through the whole bus and it ends up being an unfun tour, or in some ways an unsuccessful tour. Because you can have all the tickets sold, you can have all the money you can make in a tour, but if you're fighting with each other and you're hating it, man, none of that matters, man. So really a positive bus, like you said, talking to other bands is it can be everything, man. It's certainly a big deal to me.
It seeps onto the stage eventually too, even though you don't want it to, it does.
You hope it. Hopefully, if it goes there, it can be real tragic, man, when it gets there. Most of the time, you can kind of conceal that, but you're right. Fans aren't. I think fans are smarter than ever. I mean, they see us on our social medias. They understand. Obviously, they're talking to us in meet and greets. Yeah, when fans can tell, or like you said, it spills onto the stage. Ooh, then it's really bad. Because most of the time,
you can tell when you're at a party and the husband and wife that are hosting it got in a fight right before it started. You can tell.
Yeah. Yeah, you can, man. And sometimes that husband and wife can conceal it, but when people can tell, ooh, it's bad. It's bad, man. That's for sure.
Well, the dynamic of adding people into the band, especially somebody like Blake, who obviously came in to play the drums, but he's a vocalist. in his other job.
Right. Yep.
So you're
Yep.
changing the skill set and the tools in the Pop Evil toolbox.
Yeah.
How did that come out in the new music?
Wow. Well, it's interesting. You bring up a good point. Like Blake has been, he's just so talented. And let's just take away the music side. His personality, number one, I mean, he's the kindest human being on the planet. There's no jealousies, and you never know. Being a singer myself, I mean, when you're a singer, and I know you know a lot of them, and you've spoken to a lot of them. For me, my experience to be a singer is there's a lot of people jealous at all times in your life, right? Because everyone either loves or hates the singer. And when things go bad, it's always pointed at the singer. And
LSD, baby,
right?
lead singer
exactly,
disease.
there you go. And it should be, right? We're the face of the project. I mean, singers are usually strong-minded, confident, arrogant. All those characteristics we usually have. A lot of those characteristics with us singers. So a lot of times, sometimes we can be tougher. But when bringing Blake in, it was like this big brother that I never knew I wanted. I'm so glad I have, though, right? Because he's a singer, so he understands. I mean, there were so many times going off stage after shows and all five of us just go our separate ways. We don't even talk about it. Now it's like we get off stage, we're talking about the show, pros and cons, things, and being able to talk to Blake about, I mean, there's been tons of times he'll come, he's like, Leigh, have you thought about this with your vocal? What if we tried this with you? And I'm like, oh my God, this is something. He goes, would you be okay with that? I'm like, are you kidding me? Tell me more. Because, having someone in your band that's fronting bands himself, a band himself, that you can understand, he can understand what you're going through. Where a lot of times when you're with previous band members and previous bands that I played in, if you're not a singer, you don't always understand, right? I mean, certainly band members are on stage, they're sharing the experience with you, so they definitely get it. But someone like Blake, who's a singer himself, really understands what it's like when you're going through a sickness and singing. You're going through any kind of vocal pain or vocal stress. Being able to have compassion with that. And from the whole band, when Blake and I are having these conversations, a lot of times we're in front of the whole band. So even guys like Dave and Nick, who have been with me, for years and a long time, and they're the kindest people as well, and they've always been supportive. But when they get that validation from Blake too, it just makes it different. Like, oh my gosh, like, oh, Blake's going through some of those trials and tribulations that Leigh is. Oh, well, maybe we got to listen and step back, because they don't want it to affect their lives as well, right? When we got to cancel a show, or we'd have to be like, oh, I can't do this. You guys got to help me with that or this, whether it's a solo, or maybe we're not going to play that song in the set tonight. It's just important for us to kind of have those discussions in a more family type style atmosphere, right? Like, where it's not even like we got to have this big, we got to call this big meeting, we got to have this band meeting together for 15 minutes. No. We're just talking about it casually in front of all of us. There's no secrets. It's like, look, this is what we're trying to do to become better. And when you kind of have that goal about chasing perfection to be better, and everyone's doing that, then everyone's holding them accountable when they have a bad show, right? They're not coming in and kind of like, oh, I hope the band didn't hear me play that bad note or whatever. Instead, we're like, guys, I apologize to you right when they get off stage. I had a bad day today. This is why my guitar wasn't feeling it, or just went. Now we're having those discussions and everyone's owning it, right? Own those bad moments so we can get better and be like, hey, no one's gonna look at you bad, or no one's holding that against you. We're like, well, wow, what was it? Was it the guitar you had? Maybe we tried that different tune, or maybe maybe we tried this approach to that guitar part. That don't worry about it. We're going to get it next time. The good thing is we got another show tomorrow. Let's get after it, right? So when you're being supportive about each other, about these little individual picky things that normally you just would cage inside and like, man, I hope the band didn't hear that. Now you put yourself in a position to win, right, and be better. And at the end of the day, when you have hit songs that we've been blessed to have, you can really make sure that those songs, every night, people that are traveling, thousands of miles in a way, right? Hundreds and thousands of miles to get to here's these certain songs. They make sure can make sure that they sound as good as possible every single night. Because when you have songs that have been around for 10 plus years, I mean, they're not your songs anymore, right? People are coming and they're not just listening to the songs. They don't want to just hear your songs. They want to remember that feeling. And when they think about that memory, when they're hearing those songs live, right? Like, oh my gosh, I remember when I was with my significant other and we were, at that park and we had that amazing memory and we were listening to 155 or we were listening to Torn to Pieces, certainly Torn to Pieces too, when they want to remember those good feelings about their loved ones that they might have lost or they might have listened to these songs with together and those people might not be here anymore. So, we take that very, very seriously. We try to be responsible enough every night to make sure that these songs are coming off the way that we wanted to, even when we wrote those songs all those years ago. And when you bring guys that are new to the project, again, Joey and Blake, and are taking those songs with equal respect, even though they weren't here when we wrote those songs, but are now embracing those songs as their own, it just really, it's a really powerful thing, man. And obviously all the things that are obvious with the fans and success is great. But when you can, like for sure, when you have those internal successes and that respect goes around from 5 brothers, it's a whole different animal I haven't experienced before. And again, I just think it sets us up for to be in position to really grow this project the way we want. And, whether we're only blessed to be with each other for a couple years, or whether we're blessed to be with each other for, 10 or 20 years, it's just awesome to be able to have this kind of rhetoric and this feedback going on internally off the stage to put ourselves in a position to really be the best we can on it. So it's a special feeling, and I know you've known the band for a long time, and I'm just really excited about this new era we're calling it for Pop Evil, just because of we felt like it was worth a new low and a new branding, just because it just doesn't feel the same. It feels like a fresh start, and I know we've talked about that a couple albums ago, that it's almost like we've been building to that. But now with the strength of Joey and Blake now here and where we're at, it really they say timing is everything. It really feels like the right time for Pop Evil to really to really branch off into whatever this new chapter is going to be for us. And I'm certainly excited about the positivity that's around the camp right now. And I'm certainly equally excited about this album. We really feel like it's our best album yet. Whether that means it's our most successful, obviously, who knows? It's a different era. It's a different time. Things are all different with that. But certainly where we are growing internally and certainly creatively in the studio, it's just exciting to see. So, we're definitely, I think these two have definitely, getting back to your original question, they've definitely been monumental in us creating a mindset to really be open to really creating together. And even if it's not your idea, that you didn't own the idea from the beginning, just still being open-minded to be, if it's the best idea, we're rolling with that. If it's what's going to be the best for us live, or at least an idea of what's going to make our live show better, then we roll with it. We're all supportive of it. So it's been a fun experience, no doubt.
You're not the first singer or band member to bring up the concept of the audience owning the songs. Last year, I did an episode of the podcast with Brent Smith because we were celebrating the 20th anniversary of when they did Simple Man the first time on my show.
Oh, that's awesome.
And it became this big thing. And then it got played on the radio everywhere. And then the band made a decision to pull it out of the set. And he told this great story, and you'll love it because you know him as well, that Shinedown came back to Boston and Sully from Godsmack brought a bunch of his buddies and was raving about, wait till you hear him do the Skynyrd cover, blah, and then Shinedown didn't play it. And Sully walked right backstage and read him the Riot Act.
Wow.
And said the exact thing that you're talking about. That you don't get to take that away from the fans because that's their song now. You gave it to them, and now you can't take it away. And so I bring that up because I've read articles that you've done about this new record.
Yeah.
And talking about how these lyrics and these songs are some of the most personal for you.
Definitely.
And then the idea that you're talking about, that then the songs go out and us as fans interpret those lyrics about someone we love that's gone or something we've been through. And then those songs become ours. And so it's this weird thing where you're turning your stress, your anxiety, your pain, your uncertainty, your grief into this cathartic experience for the fan.
Yeah,
then you can't take it away from us.
Yeah, it's interesting. First of all, let's talk about that. I mean, Sully in Shinedown in Boston, with Sully there, and Sully comes back and first of all, Godsmack. I love Godsmack; they're amazing, and Shinedown as well. Love Shinedown. But can you imagine? Just picture. Obviously, I know
Brent's
both of them.
telling me the story, and I didn't know.
Sully going back. That's incredible.
And gave him the whole "come here, I need to talk to you," and it's such a Boston way.
First of all, if Sully comes back and tells you to play anything, you play it. But if he comes back in Boston to tell you to play it, that's amazing. What a cool story. But yeah, you're exactly right, and it's so interesting because you see both sides, right? Like obviously, I get Sully's side, and you're right. You don't have a right sometimes. Like It is tough. And I think that's a challenge, certainly for us. It definitely would be a challenge for both Godsmack and Shinedown with all the hit songs they have. It's like at some point, what do you cut from the set list? I mean, both those bands have so many albums, more than us. So it's like, no matter what they do and mixing it up, someone's going to be upset. So I guess when it's a totally different conversation that, I'm sure a perspective Brent or Sully would talk about. But for me, just kind of approaching that now, 8 albums and having, successfully hit songs as well. I know we kind of, we battle a little bit with like, what songs do we want to play? Just because they're hits doesn't mean we don't want to play them, but we want to play them. There's tons of songs that band, we just don't want to play.
Yeah.
Maybe we feel it's not who we are now, or just maybe they don't sound as good as we want them to. There's tons of reasons. I mean, again, with Joey and Blake being new, we haven't had a lot of practice time. We all live in different areas of the country. So we don't get together and get to just jam out unless we're, just before rehearsals, and then we're focused on whatever that set list is, right? Like we don't get together and like, oh, well, let's try this old school Pop Evil record, or let's jam some old Devour the Day stuff. Like we don't get to do that stuff, it would be fun to do, but I think when you get, and I think any band that would tell you that's been to around 8 albums, the practice time gets harder just because it's, you spend all those years away from family and friends. When you do get off time, you really try to soak that up and kind of recharge your battery mentally. But it's interesting when you do, you're exactly right. And that's something that we always get torn about. Like, we don't want to play this song, or 155, for example, which is a big one for us. Like, hey, we don't want to play it. We played it. Let's just give it a break. But when you don't play it, you're right. I mean, Sully's right. Like, you don't always have a right to do that. There are people that are, if one person's coming exclusively just to hear that certain song, it's devastating, right? Because you don't want to leave that one person out who's there to support you, because at the end of the day, they like your band, they like that song, So, but finding that happy medium is the challenge. It is the chess game that we play every day when you get together and talk about making a new set list for a certain tour. And then at some point times you want to challenge your fans too. They're like, hey, come back and see us. We'll play at the next tour. We didn't play at this tour, so make sure you stay on, because what do they say? The average person comes and sees you live one time, right? So you think about it, which I don't always believe, because, we have so many great fans that come
means I'm a full-blown stalker with so many bands
that would definitely mean that, right?
1,000 times.
And I don't know if that's true, but I always heard that the average person is going to probably see you, if you're lucky, one time, and you're diehards, right? Or you're fans. So it's like, man, how do you convince majority of them to come back and see again? By not playing the stuff every time, is that an option? So, again, you don't never know. So you talk about those things as a band, and, okay, well, this tour, let's play it. Let's not play it. Or we'll do a different render. Maybe we'll do an acoustic version of it. We'll slide it in at this point in the set list, or maybe we'll play it at the end of the set list, So it's, I mean, that's the fun of it in a way, and I'm sure Brent enjoys, like, you take and it's funny, it's a cover song for Shinedown. So it's not even technically his song, but even it's certainly become his song now, right? There's a lot of my personal friends that are like, well, I love the Shinedown version better. And I'm like, well, Skinner's too, by the way, is iconic. So you have to respect Skinner when you're around me. So, but of course I love Shinedown too. So it's,
so if you ever need to win that argument with the guys, just to put a period on the end of this sentence.
Yeah.
If you ever need to win an argument about songs in the set list, bring Sully in, because since that night in Boston, Shinedown's played Simple Man every night in every tour on every show since.
I told you, man. Sully is an icon.
Brent was like, it's never coming out of the set list.
I can picture it in my head. I can picture Sully doing it. He just, that's a cool story, man. Like I said, Sully told me to play it. You'd play it. He's incredible front man. One of the best all time. So it's what a cool, and then Brent too, one of the best all time. So when you get those two in, what a cool story. That's cool for sure. And
two
you're right.
Two of my oldest and bestest too. They're like brothers to me,
Yeah, well, that's just it. You've known those two for forever, and I know stories just seeing you with those two. So it's just it's cool to see. Obviously, your history at Rock Rate is amazing, and you've been a part of all of us in so many cool ways. So it's cool to hear that story and hear it from you, because it's just I know that they probably wouldn't share that quite with just anybody. So to share that with you, you get the gossip, Carrie, for sure. You get all the good stuff.
I try to get the inside info, and
definitely.
The problem is my reputation precedes me, because
Sure.
you guys all know that I can't keep a secret. So if you're going to tell me gossip about secret records and projects and tours,
I love it.
I like him sitting there going, I'm like Ren and Stimpy, like, I have to tell everybody.
Who am I calling right after this talk with you? Who am I calling? Yeah, yeah, I love it. I love it.
Well, so far, because we're recording this before the record comes out,
Right.
to prove my point, I have not been trusted with an advance of the new Pop Evil record because you guys know I'll give away all the secrets.
I love it.
But I
love it.
have heard the singles. So to go back to those articles that I had read about your personal stake in this new stuff, what was it? What was the key that kind of opened up a new gate in you to get more personal on this record?
Yeah, I think it was a song, What Remains. That's why we called the whole album What Remains, because it just, you sit down to write a record and you've heard all the things. Like if I wrote it, a year from now or a year before, it wouldn't have been the same. It was just kind of where I was at. And obviously I'm still struggling from just the whole COVID experience, just personally, just kind of just dealing with just that shock. Because I think for me and many people, we wear it, right? I'm just like, I'll bury it. It's fine. When you're the leader of a household or you're someone that in your personal world people really look to, a lot of times you don't have time to be depressed. You don't have time to be, fearful or anxiety. You don't have time for any of that stuff. So you just bury it and you're just like, okay, we're going to get through it. And you're so focused on trying to take the positive look that you don't even realize that you need some healing. And I don't think I even realized, it's like, okay, yeah, we're cool. We're going to figure it out and all the stuff, Haley had left. I mean, Matt had left, the old bass player too. But I still processing some of that stuff. And they were all great. They all left on their own terms. I don't have any personal grudges with it. It wasn't like there was this big point the finger and swear you here, swear that. And no, there was no fights. It was just, they made the best decision for themselves. And, I was the last to know. But so, probably I was like, and when, I'm the owner of the project, so probably for whatever reason, I got secondhand information about it or, oh my gosh, these two are leaving. So again, and I never really pictured the band without those two in those times. And whenever you lose any band member, it's traumatizing. You're like, okay, what's that mean? Where do we go from there? You know what I mean? So it's not so much like, okay, next person up, let's just go to the next. It's not as easy as that. It's like musically it can be, but you think about, all the memories, the human element is tough. I think about all those stories and those fun times I had with Matt, and I think about all those amazing times I had with Haley. You know what I mean? And they both are missed. So that's why bringing in guys like Joey and Blake again. We're so instrumental to the healing process, because they've been around since day one in Pop Evil. So it's not like they were just some new people I had to meet. I've obviously toured with Joey and Blake many times. I knew that they wanted to tour. I knew that they wanted to be here. It wasn't like, okay, are these guys going to fit in with us? It was maybe a little bit of that, but at the same time, it was like they know what to do. They're still here. They're still grinding it, So I think when we got into write the first stages of the record, you just kind of shut your eyes and see what's like really needs to be healed. You just see what comes out, And I remember the first couple songs was like, okay, we're started. I don't remember exactly what the first couple songs were, but they didn't make the record. So they kind of are like, you always have those first couple songs that just kind of like get your,
you got to get the engine running.
Get the engine running, because I'm exactly like that. I don't really write when we tour. I like to separate it just because when I'm touring, it's important to worry about vocal strength, like personal health. Like it's so sometimes grueling that my voice is beat up. So the last thing I want to do, 4 weeks into a tour is sit there and scream and take my vocal in a high range to try to write songs. That's not always the best thing to do. So for me, I like to be kind of do everything a little bit separate. So it's time to write, it's time to write. I don't want to tour as much as I can. So, we start writing, and then of course got in with Cody from Wage War. We got in together to finally write some ideas down, and we never were we tried to do it on the album, which is Skeletons album, which was our album before, and we weren't able to really get it done. He's so busy, and I just couldn't figure it out in my schedule being busy as well. So finally this album, we set a week aside, both of us, and we're like, let's see what we can do. And we wrote this first song called Enough Is Enough. That was it's on the record, made the record. So super fun, catchy, I just found myself singing it. It's one of those songs, if I'm not singing it in the car days after, then I don't want it on the record, at least because, again, as a performer, as a frontman, I want to be into these songs more than ever. If what I've learned anything from my past 7 albums is I want to like as many songs as possible. So if I do them live, it's not like, oh gosh, I don't want to perform that. That's the worst feeling in the world, when you got songs, whether they're hits or not, and you don't feel like performing it. You just don't like performing them live. That's not a fun experience. So I try my best this album to really not micromanage. And even to this day, I don't even know the order. I haven't listened to it since we've been done. We talked about the order maybe once. I was like, yep, okay, I like it. I listened to it once. It didn't bother. I'm like, done. I'm not gonna, because every album I've normally listened to the songs a million times before they come out.
You're talking about the sequencing. That's what it's called.
The sequencing, yeah, the order. Yep, you're right. The order of the album. I did an interview actually a couple days ago, and they're like, yeah, so track number 1, what do you think? I'm like, what was this track number 1? I don't even know what track. I was like, nope, I'm not. I promised myself I'm not going to, once it's done, I'm going to let it be. And then I'm going to take a fresh stab once it comes out March 21 and then be excited. Because, sometimes when you're so involved, by the time CD release comes, which is the best experience of the whole process, is the first week, right? Like, it's so exciting. Everyone's excited. Everybody in your personal life is super excited. But had I give everyone demos and everyone had the album, a year ago, then, once CD release comes, nobody's excited, right? They already have it. So I've really tried to keep it on lockdown until that first week, and then you can really enjoy it in that way. But, writing it back to, sorry, I get sidetracked thinking about it, but writing with Cody, then we got to writing What Remains, and it was insane. I go, Cody, give me something. Like, I want one of your, like, blistering, give me one of your riffs, man. Give me something. And he wrote something for me, and it wasn't quite what I was feeling right off the bat. And I don't, and like I said, I'm just me. I mean, I know him, but I've just my first couple days working with him. I didn't want to be like, well, what do I say if I'm not feeling it, And I'm like, Cody, I'm just not. It's cool, but I want something faster, bro. Like, give me your fingers, bro. Give me your fingers. And he wrote the riff. He goes, oh, I got you. And he wrote the riff for What Remains in probably a half hour. And then I literally wrote the lyrics in 20 minutes. It just came out. So sometimes those songs, when they're that. When you have something that you've been holding in, you don't even know, it just came right out. The hook, I never meant to hurt you. That is my only about you. So boom, it was like, oh my God. He's like, oh my God, let's record that. Let's record that down. And then obviously you shape it around, the hook's done. You're like, oh my God, like this hook's What Remains. Like this is then you process it, right? You go, well, what is this song? Is this even going to make the album? Like, what does this mean? And I'm like, oh my God, like, shoot, this is me. When you think about that, the darkest time or the worst experience of your life, like your world's falling in on you, what's left? Well, you, right? And I've grown up in this world writing albums about not writing about you. It's all got to be about someone else, right? A couple I'm torn to pieces every now and then, but a lot of times I'm writing songs putting myself in other people's shoes. It's just easier to do, right? But when you start talking about yourself, and you always hear that, right? On team, this is a team effort, that you don't talk about I, it's we, it's us, right? So I was like, well, this album's different. It's going to be me, I. Like, I got to get this out, and I am what remains, I'm on my death walk, So it was like, look, I'm only wishful thinking. Like, I'm just telling it from my perspective, you know what I mean? Like, and it was awesome. Once Joey and Blake kind of caught in, they're like, this is all, they kind of wrote a song. They pitched me a song called Criminal on the record. And they were like, we wrote this song for you. We want to play it for you. But we wrote it like, because they know me so much better now. They're like, we wrote it as if we were you and want to see what you think. And if fans don't know, Joey and Blake are writers. They write, obviously, all the stuff for Father of the Day. And but that doesn't mean that they write. I write a lot of stuff for Pop Evil, obviously. It's I'm a writer. So they pitched me this song called Criminal, and it was just such a fun new experience for me, because they were like, it was just so complimentary to be like, they know kind of the pains and the struggles I've been through.
They were your Bernie Taupin to your Elton John. Like, that's
it. They were. And they were so excited about, and so I went off they weren't with me. I was like, well, let me do my thing, and let me put my spin on it a bit, see if you guys like it. So I remember we were in LA shooting the music videos when they heard it for the first time, and they were just blown away. They're like, oh my gosh, this is amazing. And it's always, as a writer, when you're writing for someone else, it's always a surreal moment when, you're writing. And even for me, when you're writing that vocal for someone else as their vocal, when you actually hear that vocal on it, it's chills sometimes when it's nailed, and I remember them being so positive and just so so excited about it. And I was so honored because obviously they wrote it and I wanted to make sure that I delivered for them, whatever their vision was internally to really come through. And they were just seated expectations. So Criminals, again, another favorite, just because it just was it was the first one that Joey and Blake had done, in Pop Evil, really. So it's definitely a cool moment for us, internally. But, just one song after another. It was like that one song, What Remains, started, and it just bam, bam, bam. I think it led to the next song. And sooner or later, I remember George, or who's our manager, was like, George was talking to me. He's like, man, you realize this album's like about you. And I'm like, what do you mean? And he's like, dude, every song, he almost knows me better than myself, right? Because he's been a part of every record with me since I've started. And he's just like, dude, this is like, do you have healing you need to do or something? Like, is this crazy? I didn't even know you were going through all this. I'm like, what do you mean? And he's like, well, dude, read the lyrics back. And it literally took me to have to like take the music away and read the lyrics. And I was like, oh my God, I didn't even know I'm just writing these songs. I'm not thinking, because sometimes when you write, like, and again, it might be different for Brand, it might be different for Sully, it might be different for other people, but I'm just writing. I'm not trying to overthink it at this point in my career. I'm just writing it. If it feels good, I'm trying to go more on feel now rather than trying to overthink it, right? Or it has to sound like this, or I want to write it for this person. I wasn't thinking, I was just writing it. And again, this is the early stages, right? Like I don't even know if these songs are going to make the cut. I'm just writing to kind of get the engine going again. So once George kind of, he was like, wow, this, and then of course, Joey and Blake are calling me and they're like, wow, like, this is crazy that you're going through all this, man. This is awesome. We need to push it, and I'm like, all right, let's just keep going. I'm gonna see, and I didn't even have to push it. It just kind of all came out, And it was in the course of a year. It wasn't like these all came out in a month and then we were done. It took a while, and obviously there's songs too that didn't make the album, that just didn't feel right, or it's not the right time maybe for these songs. But it was just interesting how it kind of came together differently than the 7 previous albums for Pop Evil. So again, just trusting the process and obviously getting the support system from the band and the manager, and certainly the label has been great about it too. And just and then even taking it when we took it to Sam Shapiro, who's did the music videos, kind of seeing those because a lot of times we write to you see this music video in your head when you're writing it, and sometimes the actual video comes out that way, and sometimes the director's taking it a total different direction. But once Sam, who's so talented, once he gets it, he takes it in a whole different world and takes your ideas. And I remember having hour-long talks with him about where these songs were in my head when I wrote it. But then to see him kind of add to that and just take the vision and take the vision to the budget we have too, because budgets aren't always there's not an unlimited budget here. Fans need to understand.
But sometimes a limited budget spurs creativity, because
totally
sometimes when you don't have boundaries, it's like paralysis by analysis. But as soon as those boundaries get put, like, you can't dance outside of this box, this is how much money we have, sometimes the creativity comes from the limitation.
Yeah, 100%. You're exactly right. And then and still being able to pull it off in a way that's like that's fitting and respectful to whatever the darkness or whatever the image is in your head. Certainly this album is a lot of darkness, so I wanted to make sure that like the fans could see. It's almost like our third album, Onyx, right? It was written, my dad had just passed away. I was in a really dark place, and I think moving out of that, it took those other albums up until now to finally, because it's and anyone who's been in a dark place knows how terrifying it can be. It's just once every thought, it consumes you. You're not great. You're just always depressed. You know what I mean? And it can be really traumatizing. So I was really wanted songs like Footsteps and Survivor. Songs that just reminded you to like, be positive and stay the course. But now again, COVID happened and this pandemic and. Everything kind of compounds and there's a lot of darkness again that just needs to come out, and again, of course, and now I think having gone through what I've gone through, being able to take the darkness out on guitars and take it out on guitar tones and upbeat tempos, it's been, I guess in a way, it's been more fun, right? It didn't have to be so depressing and dark writing it, but certainly the visuals were trying to have Sam kind of take these ideas and to make the videos the way he had. It just incredible what he's done. I'm just super always grateful to work with Sam. One of my favorite. I'm a fan, right? So one of my favorite guys on in the business, and whenever you can get an opportunity to work with him, it's always going to be something cool and something worth watching again, right? You know, because sometimes videos, even my own from me, it's like, oh, dude, I don't want to. You don't always like watching yourself, right? But sometimes with Sam, when those right directors come along and they make you want to watch your own video over and over, like, man, this is sweet. You're not even thinking about that it's you because the video is just cool, you know, and it intrigues you. So, you know, those kind of guys are some of my favorites. And Sam is on that leaderboard at the top, man. He's just incredible. So I'm super honored to see, to have him on board and to what he's done to help, you know, make this musical representation of the music, him to be able to take the visuals and run with it. So it's a fun experience, no doubt.
You talk about COVID, and obviously it's been years now. And depending on the person, they either roll their eyes like, oh, whatever. But I'm someone like you that really went through a lot in that time.
Yeah.
That I lost my job of 29 years, and my beloved radio station was gone weeks before. Then COVID hits. Then I find out my boyfriend, now husband, was getting deployed for 18 months overseas. Yeah. And then 2 weeks later, I found out that my mom had early onset dementia. I wouldn't relive those 8 weeks of my life for all the money in the world. So I think it's something that is starting to come out now in this healing process you're talking about.
Yes.
That it was that the deep, dark depressions that people went through weren't necessarily COVID. That COVID was the straw that broke the camel, because everyone was going through all of these other things and then got kicked in the nuts. Like my whole world was crumbling around me.
Yeah.
And then it was like, oh, and by the way, you can't go and do any of the things that would normally make you feel better. You can't go to shows. You can't hang out with your friends. You can't do this. You can't do that. Like, that feeling of going through trauma and anxiety and having to do it alone, that takes years to get over. I'm still processing it too. And my mom just passed in December.
I'm so sorry.
Thank you. So it's like the process, that's what has brought up a lot of this in me is the knowledge of her illness. And then just 5 years later, her succumbing to that illness has really kind of given me this rear view mirror at how we all were dealing with multiple traumas simultaneously.
Yeah, I mean, and I've heard that. Obviously, you know, a lot of people don't want to hear about COVID, and I get that. But if you want to talk about certain bands and how we are here, we went through it. And I think, look, everyone struggled with COVID, but I can only speak from a musician perspective. Like, we were the first ones to get shut down. We were the last ones to come back. So it's impossible for me to sit here and talk about how I wrote this song or what I was thinking about without bringing it up, because that's what affected me to be here. I mean, if we don't go through COVID, this album is totally different.
You'd be writing happy love songs. Leigh Kakaty in a barbershop quartet. I mean, like
it could be a different perspective, right?
Yeah.
Like the it's just you know, look, I'm grateful for COVID. I feel like we're stronger, right? Like all that you went through doesn't mean we want to go back and live that again.
No, I'm not happy that it happened, but I made it through, and I'm a better person because of it.
Exactly. Yeah. And what admires me about you, just saying it, because obviously I've known you well, but you've been able to now create your own show out of it, right? Like you've been able to, I mean, you're so inspirational anyways, because you not only what you've done in the past to get here. I mean, I'm just grateful I've been around some of the end of that radio shine that you had, you know. I mean, I was a small part of that, but I mean,
now I'm on dozens of stations around the country and launching new shows all the time. It's totally different.
Incredible. It's incredible what you've done, and so many people like you, right? That were at radio, and now you don't have to. It's the same thing with musicians, right? We were still relying on certain things. Now it's funny. We would normally do this interview over the phone, right? Now it's video. Now we're face to face, which is for better or worse for some of us, but it's so much cooler for the fans, right? To be able to see the facial expressions we're making, to see the connection we have, see the connection you have with your other artists. Because even I remember the first time I saw you with Shinedown, we were playing, and you know, obviously you and Brent had such a great relationship. You guys are hugging, you guys are trading war stories, nothing music related. It was like, oh my God, how you guys been this? And it was just so, because normally I only know our relationship.
Right.
But like seeing that, it's like, wow, like the history that these two must have had. I don't know. I don't remember. I wasn't around when Shinedown started, but you do. You remember that first hug when their first single hit. It was just kind of cool to see that history between the two of you. And even Zach, I remember Zach came up, he gave you a hug as well. And just kind of seeing your relationship with them. And obviously Sully as well. Like, obviously not only do you guys have
that goes back to before their record deal when they were just a local band.
And then the fact that you guys have Boston together, that's so cool, because as cool as Brent or me and our relationship is with you, you guys have that city, you know, and and I remember on the come up, you know, it was always like, hey, you know, your first interview with Mistress Carrie, this is going to be crazy. And she is Boston. This is amazing. And of course, I'd never been to Boston before. And unfortunately, we were kind of towards the end of the Boston radio success, right? We kind of came up through the end of that. So we didn't have all the history which was a bummer, because I absolutely I love Boston. And I remember, you know, even just the history and growing up in Michigan, there's so much pride that you have for your city.
Scrappy, blue collar.
Yes, but it's a whole different kind of scrappy and blue collar over there in Boston. There's so much pride. And it's hard to explain until you actually have friends there that like grow and to see that and to see that relationship you had. It was inspiring, you know, and I would be lying to be like, man, I want that relationship with Carrie.
People think we're assholes and that we're mean, and then you get to know us, and we're the most loyal.
Oh my God!
That's why that quote in that movie with Ben Affleck, and he's like, "I need your help. We can't talk about it later," and he just goes, "Whose car are we gonna take?" That's the most Boston fucking thing ever. Ever.
You are right though. There's so much. I've grown to fall in love every time I hear Boston come up in a movie or in a show. I just smile, because it's just you're exactly right, man. And the friends that I have from Boston to this day, they're so loyal, they're so hardcore, and they're so passionate. Even our fans that we do have in Boston.
Well, that's what I was going to say. And it's not just the city. New England is such a close-knit, small place. And being on the radio now in Portland, Maine, in Springfield, in Worcester, in New Hampshire, like all of these different radio shows that I'm doing, once you step foot in New England, Lee, once Pop Evil crosses that New York border or Connecticut, like once you're in New England, this is home for you. We love you here.
It is, man. It's one of my favorite places in the country. And people ask us all the time, you know, where's your favorite place? And I'm like, it's not, there's like pockets, you know, and you can't just, it's not, because you hit it on the head, whether it's Maine, you know, Portland, Maine, or whether we're into Connecticut, like it's, man, I can't help but smile. I mean, there's so many great fans, and then they're so loyal. They always come out. Oh gosh, it's almost like when you see tours coming, we always take that yellow highlighter and circle certain cities and stuff. Anything in New England is always circled. I always see it circled, and not just by me, by the other band members. It's like, oh, we can't wait to go here, and it's funny because you can tell too, and you'll appreciate this when you tour. You always can tell where the cool places are because the bus is empty after the show. And I'm, of course, you know, rest of my voice, I'm usually on the bus right after the show. You know, I go and kind of try to make sure my voice is good for the next day. So I don't get to go out every day unless it's an off day and maybe the next day. But I always notice, you know, if the band's all on the bus after the show, we're probably in a boring part of the country, you know, because then no one's got nothing to do. Everyone's back on the bus and they're ready for bus call. But usually, you know, if it's an amazing spot, you don't see the band members at all till 2 a.m. or whenever
You're
bus
not
call,
getting on the bus early when I'm in town. That's not happening.
No, heck no. And in New England in general, because there's always something to do and there's always someone to hang with and there's always a story to be told, you know, so it's just incredible, man. And it's awesome to have a couple spots too in Boston when we get there. And we haven't been there in lately, you know.
Well, that's what I was going to say, because I know I got to let you go. When are we getting you?
I'm hopeful soon. You know, okay. I don't get a voice always in where they're booking, but I'm always kind of pestering George. I'm like, so Boston on the horizon here for us? Because, you know, I need a nice stop. I need some cannolis too. There's only a couple cheats I do, but we got to go together. I love that because you can't get those anywhere else around. And if they do, they're nowhere anything like any of the cannoli spots in Boston, not just, of course, the hot spots anywhere. Yeah. It's always amazing.
I still owe you that day off Mistress Carrie tour of Boston, too. So
I really would love that.
Try to weasel a day off up here so that I can take you on that sightseeing tour.
Please, I would love, because I mean, I got to go with you because you have the stories, you have obviously the place to take me and the stories when we get there. I look forward to that moment because I want to know. I have so much more still to learn about Boston because I've only been, a handful of times in my career. So just love it there. I love you to death. Thank you so much for having me on again today.
Hell yeah.
I can't wait to see you in person. And I can't wait for you to get your own copy of the record.
I can't wait. And I know release day, you always go and buy a copy. That's your tradition.
Sure.
So I'm so excited for you.
Yep. I'm definitely excited for that. I mean, I'll be interested to see where they're going to be this time. Again, are they going to be in the Walmarts? Are they going to be in the music stores? Or I know that the big push is about for vinyl these days.
Yeah, your splatter vinyl designs look cool.
Thank you so much. I can't wait for you to get your own copy. We got one for you.
Nice.
And I just can't wait to just get after it, man. New tour and this new chapter. So I can't wait to. I miss the boys. So I can't wait to see the guys too. So I know we've all had FaceTime chats and whatnot. So we're really excited to kind of get out there. And most importantly, can't wait to see all the fans. Can't wait to see all of you. Thank you so much for supporting Pop Evil. Of course, supporting Mistress Carrie, and we can't wait to see all you guys in person. So thank you for the time, Carrie. Love you to death.
Love
can't wait
you
to give
too.
you love.
I'll see you later, honey.
Yep. So bye now. See you soon. Bye, Carrie.
There he is, Leigh Kakaty from Pop Evil. The band's new album, What Remains, is available everywhere, including that collectible vinyl that we were talking about during the interview. You want to check out some of the music? It is all featured in the corresponding playlist for this episode. I make a playlist for every full-length episode of the Mistress Carrie Podcast that features all of my guest music and all the artists and songs that we referenced in the interview. You'll find the link in the show notes. You'll also find all of Leigh's links, all the Pop Evil links, all the Mistress Carrie links, and all the links to his previous appearances on the Mistress Carrie Podcast. If you liked what you heard, don't forget to like, follow, comment, and subscribe to the Mistress Carrie Podcast. New full-length episodes come out every Wednesday. Plus, every weekday, you get the Sit Rep. The Situation Report breaks down all your rock news, music headlines, and entertainment updates to about 5 minutes. And you never know when we're going to release a bonus episode. Like this week, the bonus episode featuring Tobias Forge from Ghost. It's available now. Join me live every Tuesday night at 8:30 Eastern for my weekly streaming video show, Cocktails in the War Room. And of course, you can always find me on the radio. Get the details on all of that and more at MistressCarrie.com. The Mistress Carrie Podcast, a proud member of the Pantheon Podcast Network.